Organizing Students for Sharing Based on a Progression of Thinking by SDCountsTimmerman. How do you decide which students to have share their thinking during whole group share? When teaching inquiry-based math, you have to be certain that you utilize the student thinking in order to help them build a conceptual understanding of the math they are working on. In this lesson, you will learn how to maximize your whole group share time by specifically choosing student strategies that build upon each other. Let's review. It is important to let students develop their own strategies for solving problems. When they are allowed to develop their own ideas and then try out their thinking on a variety of problems, they are continually adding to their existing schema. A conceptual understanding of what they are doing allows them to internalize their level of understanding, making their ideas available for future use. Student thinking should evolve gradually. As they encounter different types of problems, they can use existing ideas and make adjustments in their thinking to help them accommodate their strategy to solve a more difficult problem. A higher level of thinking and reasoning often leads to more efficient and consistent strategies. By purposefully selecting students to share during your whole group share time, you can help the students see the similarities and differences in each other's thinking and approaches to a problem. From there, they can make deeper connections, which will foster the evolution of their strategies. Some common misconceptions are that you should only choose students to share that have the correct answer. When I look at a student's strategy, I am mostly interested in how clear their thinking is to follow. Minor calculation errors are never a concern because I know inevitably that they will be corrected when the student shares their thinking in front of the class. I also make it a point to celebrate these types of errors, and I thank the students for giving us all the opportunity to learn from their thinking. Another common misconception is that every student has to use the same strategy. Again, students who are allowed to create and make sense out of a certain way of thinking about a problem to develop a higher level of understanding. With that said, by sharing strategies whole class, you can positively impact the learning of all students. The student who is sharing gets to vocalize and solidify their thinking, while the rest of the class gets to analyze their strategy and compare and contrast it to their own way of thinking. As the facilitator, I can help them see the patterns in their thinking and the strategy being presented if I choose the students to share based off of which strategies build off of each other. Having students share their thinking whole class directly supports the mathematical practices embedded within the Common Core standards. The following example demonstrates how I choose students to share the thinking they developed during collaborative work time. I used a lesson from our Investigations Math Unit 3, Grade 5, Session 1.3. The students are given a problem to work on, like how many steps will it take to get to 10,000 if they start from 1,025. They were given time to work on their individual strategies and talk with their neighbors about what they were thinking. Then the last 10 minutes of class were used to share their thinking. While the students were working, I asked them questions and kept track of which students I would call on to share for our whole group share session during the last 10 minutes of math. Prior to teaching the lesson, I utilized the resources found within the Investigations unit to help me identify how the students' thinking might progress throughout the lesson. The following pictures are provided within the text, along with a helpful teacher-student dialogue, so that I can better anticipate what I might see during the lesson for the day. After I formatively assessed the students during the lesson and noted down on a small sheet of paper who I would have share and in what order, it was time to pull the students onto the carpet and have them share their thinking. I selected the students in an order that best demonstrated the different levels of understanding, using the basic strategies first, then moving gradually toward the more efficient thinking. Be sure to look for the students who have clearly notated their thinking to help students see each step of their strategy. When all strategies have been shared and the students have time to ask clarifying questions, I then ask the class to compare each strategy to each other and look for anything that they notice is the same or different between each strategy. I also ask them for their thoughts as to which strategy seems more efficient, yet still makes sense to them. The objective here is to give the students a chance to look at each other's thinking, and perhaps they may adopt a new strategy if they see that a different one might work just as well as theirs, but may be a bit more efficient. In this lesson, you learned how to maximize your whole group share time by specifically choosing student strategies that built upon each other. By using this format, you're still encouraging the students to build upon their own thinking, but encouraging them to adopt more efficient strategies while maintaining their conceptual understandings.